Airports flatten everyone to the same level. Same pace, same direction, same quiet agreement that we're all just passing through. Everyone here is going somewhere. Everyone is carrying something. Some of it is visible, and some of it is not. Airports are strange places to measure humanity. Everyone looks calm on the outside. Everyone is negotiating something on the inside. At this point, the story still feels clean, uncomplicated, like we know what we're doing. This trip starts in Vancouver with Eggs Benedict, mimosas, and that pre-flight optimism where everything still feels possible. We're celebrating, we're excited, still rested enough to believe that we were prepared. Mercury was in retrograde, which, in hindsight, explains a lot. I always watch people in airports. I wonder who's starting something, who's ending something, and who thinks this is just another day and has no idea it's about to change them. There's a rhythm here. Walking, waiting, walking again. Travel teaches patience by force, not the romantic kind, the kind where you don't get a choice. This is the moment where time stops behaving. There's always a point on long trips where you realize you've crossed a line, not geographically, but internally. Going back would just take as long as going forward. Hong Kong feels like momentum. Everything moves fast. Nobody slows down for you. And the first thing that hits you isn't the culture shock. It's scale. By now, the days don't really have names anymore. You stop thinking in hours and you think in gates. Everything becomes next. This is my first real interaction with Asia in Asia. The noise, the movement, the urgency. It's not chaotic, it's alive. You either learn to move with it or you exhaust yourself trying to resist it. By the time we boarded for Bangkok, we were tired, a little unhinged, but still smiling. This is the phase where the body starts to win. Planning fades and control loosens, and you stop narrating your own life, and you just move when you're told. This is the part where no one posts about. The middle of the night airport hours where plans stop mattering, and the system decides for you. Locked out of security, no lounge, no quiet place to disappear. Just here. A restaurant that never really closes. Too much light and too much time. Everyone looks a little undone. Shoes kicked off, heads on tables, people speaking more honestly than they probably meant to. And you're not at your best, but you're not pretending anymore either. We ordered exactly what we wanted. Thai tea, matcha, beer, anything warm, anything cold, anything that was comforting. At some point, humor kicks in. You start laughing at the things that aren't funny, saying things that don't make sense. Exhaustion has a way of doing that. This is what the churning actually looks like. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just uncomfortable enough to shake something loose. And then, in the middle of the Bangkok airport, this. The churning of the ocean of milk. Not tucked away in a temple, not explained, not asking for your attention. Just standing there. Gods on one side, demons on the other. A serpent stretched between them. A mountain planted in the middle of the ocean. Everyone pulling. In the old creation story, the universe is out of balance. The gods want something that they don't have. Healing, immortality. A way to keep the world from falling apart. The problem is, what they need is buried deep, too deep to reach alone. So, they do the unthinkable. They work with their enemies. They take Mount Meru, the axis of the universe, and they wrap the cosmic serpent around it like a rope. They plant it in the ocean, and they begin to pull, back and forth, back and forth. No one comfortable, and no one in control. Creation doesn't happen gently here. It happens through tension. And this is the part that matters. The first thing that rises from the ocean is not the reward. It's poison, a dark, deadly substance that threatens to destroy everything that they're trying to save. The churning works, but not in the order anyone wants. Someone has to step in and hold the poison, not destroy it, not avoid it, but hold it. so that the process can continue. Only after that does the nectar appear, the medicine, the immortality, the thing that they came for in the first place. But it only comes because they stayed, because they didn't stop when it got uncomfortable. Standing there, half asleep, jet-lagged, that story didn't feel ancient. It felt familiar, because this is how change actually works. Things get stirred, old systems break, and what rises first isn't clarity, it's chaos, the poison phase. And the mistake we always make is thinking something has gone wrong when that happens. But in the myth, that's how you know it's working. That's when I realized this wasn't just a story we were passing through. This was the story we had already entered. After that, there's nothing left to do but wait. This is the quiet part of the churn, the part where everything looks still, but nothing actually is. People sleeping wherever they can, and kids running barefoot through the terminal. The sun rising like it always does, no matter how long the night was. That's the thing about these stories. They don't rush for your comfort. They move when they're ready. Eventually, the rope moves again. Cambodia hits you through the air first. Rice, smoke, heat, something sweet, and diesel. All of it layered together. You don't analyze it. You don't label it. You just breathe it in, and you realize that your body understands before your mind does. We made it to the hotel and completely gave in. Not sleep, but surrender. Maybe a little sleep. Sunrise at Angkor Wat isn't something you rush. It doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds. The sky shifts color slowly, and the light hesitates, like the place itself is deciding when it's ready to be seen. Angkor Wat isn't just a temple. It's a model of the universe. Built in the 12th century, it was designed not only as a place of worship, but as a cosmic diagram, a way of understanding how existence is ordered. Everything here is intentional. The vast moat surrounding the temple represents the cosmic ocean. The 5 central towers represent Mount Meru, the sacred mountain at the center of the universe in Hindu cosmology. This is the same mountain used in the myth of the churning of the ocean of milk. In that story, Mount Meru is the axis, the still point. Without it, the churning would destroy everything. Standing here, you realize Angkor Wat isn't inspired by the myth. It is an embodiment of it. The kings who built this place didn't see themselves as separate from the cosmos. They believed rulership meant maintaining balance between humans and gods, earth and sky, order and chaos. Angkor Wat was built to hold the balance in stone, to say, if the center holds, the world holds. You feel that when you walk here, not as information, but in the body. People instinctively lower their voices, their steps slow, and their posture changes. You don't tour Angkor Wat. You enter it, and something in you adjusts. Every corridor, every gallery, every stairway moves you inward, toward the center, toward stillness. This isn't about spectacle. It's about alignment. In the churning of the ocean of milk, the ocean represents chaos, movement, uncertainty, and force. The gods and demons pull from opposite sides, creating friction, tension, and imbalance. But the churning only works because Mount Meru remains steady. Because something doesn't move. Angkor Wat is that reminder. Standing here, days after travel, after exhaustion, confusion, and waiting, this place doesn't ask anything from you. It doesn't demand belief. It doesn't need explanation. It simply is. And in its presence, you remember something very simple and very ancient. That not everything needs to be chased. Not everything needs to be forced. That sometimes is the most powerful thing you can do, is be still, while everything else moves. This is why Angkor Wat matters. Not just as history, not just as architecture, but as a living idea, a place built on the belief that if we tend the center within ourselves, within our societies, within the world, The churning doesn't have to destroy us. It transforms us. And standing here at sunrise, with the light climbing slowly up the stone towers that have been watching this world turn for centuries, you don't feel small. You feel placed. Like you've remembered where you are in something so much larger than you. As you move deeper into Angkor Wat, the story doesn't stay abstract. It's carved. The walls here aren't decorative. They're instructional. Long corridors of stone covered edge to edge with scenes of gods, demons, kings, animals, battles, and rituals. This is history. This is myth. And this is cosmology told all at once. And when you see it, the churning of the ocean milk, again, this time not as a statue in an airport, but as a story carved into the body of the temple itself. Hundreds of figures, all pulling the same serpent, all straining in opposite directions. No single hero, no clear villain, just effort, tension, and movement. Seeing it here changes the story, because now you understand something important. This myth wasn't just told to be remembered. It was told to be lived. The people who built this place walked these corridors every day. They passed this scene again and again, a reminder carved in stone. Creation is not passive balance. It is not automatic. The world is held together because someone stays engaged. The Bas belief stretches on for meters. There's no shortcut through it. You have to walk the length of the story, which feels intentional because transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens through repetition, through staying. Outside, monks move quietly across the grounds, bright orange robes against green fields and gray stone. Incense burns nearby. The smell drifts and disappears. Nothing clings. Everything is temporary, even in a place built to last. This is the part of Angkor Wat that doesn't photograph well. The feeling of time layered on itself. The sense that you're still standing inside a conversation that started long before you arrived and will continue long after you leave. What's striking is how calm this place feels for something built around chaos. The churning of the ocean milk is not a peaceful story. It's violent, it's exhausting. It produces poison before it produces medicine. And yet, Angkor Wat is serene. That contrast feels deliberate. It's as if the message is this. Yes, the world churns. Yes, things break. Yes, chaos is part of the process. But there must be a center that remains steady while all of that happens. Not rigid, not controlling, but steady. Walking through Angkor Wat, you start to realize how rare that idea is. A civilization that believed the highest form of power was not domination, but balance. Not expansion, but alignment. Not noise, but order. The kings who built this place saw themselves as caretakers of that place. Their role wasn't to conquer chaos, but was to hold the center, so chaos could move without destroying everything. That's a very different definition of leadership. And maybe that's why this place still resonates, because we live in a world that feels like it's churning constantly. Information, politics, identity, technology. Everything pulling in opposite directions, and everyone convinced they're on the right side of the rope. When you leave Angkor Wat, there's no ceremony. You don't exit enlightenment. You just walk back out. Into the heat, into the noise, past the gates, back onto the dirt, and back into the tuk-tuk. And suddenly, it's hot again. Suddenly, there's motorbikes. Suddenly, someone's honking at someone else for reasons you never fully understand. That quiet you felt inside the temple doesn't disappear. It just gets layered over real life, which is probably the point. Ta Prohm wasn't meant to feel finished. Even when it was built, it was already in conversation with nature. This wasn't a temple designed to dominate the landscape. It was designed to coexist with it, And over time, the balance shifted. Trees grew, roots thickened, and stones softened. Not violently, not all at once, but gradually. In the story of the churning of the ocean milk, this is the phase where control loosens. After a great effort, after the precision. The moment when you realize you can't hold everything in place forever. To prom feels like that realization made physical. I filmed this place very carefully, very intentionally. Details, light through leaves, roots wrapping walls. But the footage didn't survive coming home. A broken memory card. Very sad. It's frustrating, but also strangely appropriate, because to prom is a temple about impermanence, about what remains when structure gives way to time. This place isn't asking to be preserved perfectly. It's asking to be witnessed. And sometimes witnessing means remembering instead of recording. By the time we left to prom, everything felt slightly unsteady. Not wrong, not uncomfortable, just open. Like the story had cracked and something new was about to step through. Bayon doesn't greet you. It watches you arrive. Faces carved into stone towers, looking out in every direction. Some smiling, some neutral, some impossible to read. They don't comfort. They don't invite. They just observe. This is not a temple you understand quickly. There is no single axis, no obvious hierarchy. Just layers, corridors folding onto one another, faces appearing and disappearing, perspective constantly shifting. You never quite know who's watching whom. In the churning of the ocean of milk, this is what comes after the struggle, after the poison, after the effort, the moment of reckoning. Not judgment, but awareness. Someone has to see what's been created. Someone has to witness what's emerged. Bayon feels like that presence. By the end of the day, there's no neat conclusion. Just heat still clinging to your skin, stone dust on your shoes, and that deep kind of tired that comes after long travel and standing inside of something ancient. We leave the temples and move back into the city. Rain starts to fall and the lights flicker on. Life keeps going. The sacred and the ordinary sharing the same streets again. This was never meant to explain everything. This is just the beginning. The rope has just been lifted and the ocean is moving. The churning has started. For now, we rest. But if you liked this story and it resonated, you can like, subscribe, and come back next week for the next chapter. Because this is only the first turn of the rope.